Hi everyone. I wanted to show you some ways that you can size your media in Wirecast. So notice here we are on the Shot Layer Properties panel. I've imported a picture of my dog, but note this applies to all incoming video and media. Let's go over here and say we want to maybe make this picture a little bit smaller. So I have these width and height fields. Currently this is a square image, so it's 679 pixels by 679 pixels. If I were to type in, say, 200, then it would reduce down to 200 by 200. Notice this lock here, that locks the width to the height so that they always stay at the same ratio. If I were to unlock this, let's just do, I'll just go back up, unlock this and say 200, then it would reduce the bounding box down to 200, or I should say the width to 200. Because I have this fill lock aspect ratio selected, it keeps the aspect ratio of my media, the picture of my dog. I'll talk about this in a second. So let me just go back up to 678, lock this again, and notice here I also have the ability to adjust by percentage. So this is the percentage fill on the canvas. So you'll notice it's 53 by 94 right now because it's filling 94% of the height. I'm going to keep that locked, and let's say I want this to be 100%. That'll enlarge it to 100%, and it keeps that ratio of width versus height the same. So another way, I'm just going to go back. So click this button here to go back to and reset the position of your original media. Here we have a jog wheel, so that's another way. Notice you can see the size boxes change in relation to how I'm moving up and down the jog wheel. So that's another easy and quick way to scale your media. Of course, you can always grab it by the handles and enlarge it or shrink it that way as well. If I were to click the Shift key and drag my media, you can see my bounding box changes, keeping the aspect ratio, and that's another way of sizing your media as well. Okay, so I mentioned this fill box here. There's 4 options here. The default is lock aspect ratio, and that means that no matter what size your bounding box is, your media inside that will maintain its aspect ratio. So I'm just hitting the Shift key here and changing the size of the bounding box, but you see that my media will always maintain its aspect ratio, no matter if my bounding box is very thin from top to bottom or thin from side to side. Now, if I select lock and fill width, what that means is that the width of my bounding box is going to be filled, no matter how wide it is, but my media will be locked to its aspect ratio. So, as you can see here, I'm going to hold my Shift key again and change the size of the bounding box. No matter how wide or narrow that bounding box gets, the media sticks to the width. It will always fill the width. But if it gets so tall that it's taller than the media, then it will just shrink the media size. If the bounding box gets shorter than the media height, it will crop. But it stays locked to the width. Alternatively, lock and fill height is the opposite. It will always stay locked to the height. And if I narrow my box, then it will crop from side to side. So this is handy if you wanted to have, say, a 3-box shot where you have 3 guests and you wanted them all to be, say, 25% or 30% of the size of the canvas. Then the last option is stretch to fill. So I'm going to go back here, hit stretch to fill, and this is going to stretch to fill all sides of the bounding box no matter what the aspect ratio is. So it will not respect your aspect ratio. So if I change the size of the box, it's going to fill it no matter what size it is. The default is lock aspect ratio, and that's generally what you'd want to keep it at. So those are just some new ways that we allow you to size your media.